On this installment of Creative Cabin Fever, I'd like to welcome back Foxtrot. So it turns out exactly a year ago tomorrow, these guys played a Waterford gig for us at Viking, and it was a great honour to have them there. Since that time, the sun has gone sideways and we've been breathing in the strange collectively. Last time we hit it off pretty well, so I'm hoping we can do that again for this interview. Boys, welcome. I'm representing your incredible merch. I have not one, but two of your wonderful vinyl, one I got at the gig and one I have since purchased while lockdown started as part of my captivity purchases. Thank you so much for doing the interview. How have you been?
Good, yeah. Tipping away, kind of keeping busy, keeping sane, I suppose.
Yeah, we're definitely surviving, and things could be a lot worse. And we've still in touch and still working on stuff, and it's been a weird year. Hard to words.
Yeah, there was a lot of things that happened. Well, just everything leading up to the album that we put out at the start of the year was just felt like things were not going our way, or wanted to work with a certain producer, then we couldn't. We wanted to work in a certain studio, then we couldn't. So it's just everything started going a bit arseways. And then we finally get the album out, and then a pandemic, we can't even tour, can't promote it. There was even like other stuff that we shot like earlier in the year that meant to be like promotional tools that both for us and for something else, and none of that footage. I don't know. I think I remember you shared it as well, because we were looking for extras for a shoot at one point earlier in the year. So that's actually because Limerick IE, they kind of did a rebrand for the city, and they did all these promotional videos. We're doing one of kind of a live gig, so that we shot something ourselves, with brought kind of a rent-a-crowd, kind of all this kind of, and they can't even release that video either because it shows people arm in arm embracing, and they can't release it like something like that over COVID. So it's like, it just felt like everything was going against this year. But we kind of, and also just like, we just couldn't meet up like other bands were doing, meeting up and doing streams and stuff like that, so we couldn't do that. So but we've a way to do our own stamp, I suppose, on the pandemic, and we did those covers to keep us busy,
Yeah, because you guys
it was weird.
You guys obviously live in separate parts of the country. Yeah, I don't know why there's a lag. I'm so sorry. So because I remember the reason I interviewed you before the Waterford gig, Shane, last time over Skype. Actually, that's officially my first in this format interview that's ever happened. It was because I couldn't get to you in that time, so it's fascinating to me that it's all come round like that. But yeah, you guys live in different parts as well, so you couldn't just visit each other or have a practice in the same area.
Yeah, there was it was just also we just had family members or people to us that would have been directly very badly affected if they did catch COVID. So for that, we definitely had to just take very seriously the kind of self-isolation and the bubbles and that kind of thing. But yeah, we are like, there's a bunch of us that are in Limerick, some are in Galway. Ronan's kind of commuting. Ronan's location situation has changed a bit, I suppose, over lockdown.
Yes, it has.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we've persevered, I suppose.
Mm.
Yeah, and you've actually done amazingly, because those COVID covers, so like he came in strong with them, and a lot of bands did them with other bands to start off as, or did them in a different manner, but you guys got all those songs together in this unusual format and slayed it, and kept slaying it, and slayed it to a point that you actually released an album with them all on it. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was fun to do it. I mean, we started with just to have something just to keep us busy, and I suppose have us a reason to stay in touch and keep working on something. Like, we just put out an album, so it wasn't going on new material because we just done all of that. But we wanted to just keep being creative and producing content, and that was just a way that worked out for everyone. And we said try it. With the first one we did was Ghost. We said we'll see how this works, and if we can pull it off. We're all recording separately in our own in our own home, doing our own thing, and then trying to put the whole thing together. And like, there's a million ways to go wrong. And first one turned out great. And then we said, let's do more of these, and kept churning them out. And they worked out pretty well. Like, considering like we weren't together doing it, it was like I record my part and I'd send it to the guys, and then Shane would do his drums and his vocals and send it around, and we'd all guys would do their parts, and then it would just have to be put together after the fact and then mixed and then put online. And I was impressed that we were able to do it and to make it sound as good as it did. But yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, there was no plan at the start. It was just let's do one, and then we happened to do the other one the following week, and then we were like, all right, cool, so now it's a weekly thing, so now we're doing it Sundays. So, and then, you know, we a lot of us were still kind of working still, and we'd only really get a chance to maybe look at something like on a Thursday. So like within 24 or 48 hours, like all things would come together where, you know, we'd start recording the tracks, send them to one another, then everybody would have to send me the videos, and then I have to put that together, and then we'd have to put it out really, really quick. Like, but yeah, some of them definitely quite amazed. It's like, oh, cool, how the hell did that work out? But yeah. And the first one with Ghost Town, that was the first one as well we put out, and that got like Dan Hegarty reached out, and he wanted to play that on the radio, and that was not something that we were ever expecting, or even putting together the albums you mentioned. Like, that was not something that we were planning for at all. Like, so
yeah, and it's well because like it seemed like it was like every week we were able, like, how we put a song in a week, but it really was less than that, because it took us most of the week just to all decide on the song we were willing to do and happy to do, and then it would be like a Thursday or a Friday, we would just be saying, okay, this is the song one, and we'd go with it, and then everyone would have to make it work. And yeah, so it was pretty crazy, but it was fun.
Yeah, even the deciding of the songs was a stressful fucking thing. It was that, like, the band broke up a couple of times actually, just trying to like, no, I want to do this one, no, I don't want to do that. I was like, oh Jesus Christ, like, yeah. So
Britney Spears, come on.
yeah. Or I mean, well, yeah, I'm still surprised Santana got through the gates there, like through the quality control. So
yeah. Well, that was a song that we always kind of jokingly play at this.
Yeah.
It would just be something rip into that bum 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 bum, and then we would start playing smooth.
Yeah.
So it was,
yeah, but that's exactly it. We'd never get past 10 seconds of it.
Yeah.
So anyway.
And then Manolis had to learn our guitar solo for it.
And I had to like a crazy person do all the like multiple versions of myself doing the percussion for the video. And my wife walked on me while I was like there with sunglasses and a hat backwards and some Hawaiian shirt. She was like, what the hell are you doing? Yeah, she really thought lockdown got to me, I suppose. Yeah.
Which it did, to be fair.
Clearly.
There was a thing to do.
I like this has just turned into a chat between me and Ronan. It's just like Rebecca doing mime kind of signals at us, like.
Yeah, it's a number one trick to a good interviewer is actually that I don't talk that much. It's about the other people talking, because this isn't really about me at all. But yeah, I'm incredibly impressed with what you did, and even the fact that it snowballed from just one idea, one thing, we'll try it out, and that you kept going, and that you actually had the energy to keep doing it, because this moment in time has been very trying for everyone energy wise. Like I have weeks where I'm able to just keep going, and other days where getting out of bed is trying. So I can't imagine what it's like to have to put a song out each week. So that's incredibly inspiring, and the fact that you've then made an album out of it, or even got radio play when you weren't expecting it, that's inspiring. So well done is all I want to say.
Cheers. Thanks.
Yeah,
it was and then we wanted to do different for, so that's why we did 9 consecutive weeks, and then on the 10th one we actually, there was a break there for, I don't know, it could be like 5 weeks or something like that.
It was
7 weeks until we got the last one out. So yeah, so that break was just because we had to try, and we just wanted more people board. So we got 20 other artists, I think it was, or maybe it was about 20 people, and that took its own, that was not stressful, that was really fun as you were layering that, and as all those singers and musicians were sending on their tracks and you added a new, you were like, holy crap, this is really sounding kind of cool. And yeah, but we definitely wanted like some kind of big community feel good factor for the last one, like so.
Yeah, but there were so many other songs to do as well. We were thinking like just keep going with these and just do. And then when we did that one, that was really the capstone of it. They were like, this is the way to just end this. And then we just had an album's worth of things that we could put out. So it kind of made sense to wrap it up when we did. But it was fun. We didn't want to stop.
Yeah, then the other kind of unexpected things I suppose that came out of it was kind of when we were halfway through them, I got an email and I thought it was spam, but then I looked at the email address and then I followed that website and I was like, holy crap, this is actually an official thing. I'm not really sure how it came about, but we got an email from the Library of Congress in Washington, DC, like asking, just specifically giving the link to the playlist of the COVID covers from YouTube. And it's like, we'd just like your permission to include this in our digital database for the Library of Congress. And it was just like, what? And I was like, sure, okay, cool. But it was bananas. It was a really weird, yeah, that's but kind of cool that like, I'm guessing it's just they were maybe doing some kind of database of just what creative outlets that artists maybe were doing across the world, the pandemic, something like that, and maybe they came across our. But yeah, that's a kind of nice little surprise. And then the other surprise was because we had gotten into all of us recording at home. Not all of us have ever done really recordings at home. I've never done it. I've always ever only done drums when we're in the studio, that kind of thing. But we had to kind of like start fucking DIY setups or building up some kind of home DIY setup. We applied for funding that kind of forgot about, and then suddenly we got it. It was actually through the Limerick County Council, the Dolores O'Riordan Music Bursary. So they award to artists who apply for it, whatever they're applying for. So we had applied as in kind of like just financial support to help upgrade our own home recording setups. And so yeah, so we got a few thousand of that as well. Yeah, it's been an inactive yet active few months, I suppose, since March, since lockdown.
Yeah. One of the questions I like to ask artists whenever I have them on the show, which is completely separate to their own musical careers, is if lockdown has taught them anything new about themselves or if they've picked up new hobbies. So I guess I'll go into that now since we've already gone through kind of the COVID, and then we'll move on to all the other interesting things that have happened. But that thing from Washington, that has me a little bit, I'm going to process that for a minute.
Yeah, that took us a while to do this too. It was weird. It was nice, and we don't get anything out of it other than an interesting story to tell about it. But it's great. It's an honor.
Yeah, I very nearly did that email because I just saw it and I just immediately thought, some Nigerian prince or something. I don't know. Yeah, I kind of just reading. What is this? What's going on? No, this is actually made out to us. No, this is an official email address. And then I just kind of just followed the dots. And I hadn't really heard of the Library of Congress until I was watching also something else on YouTube. John Oliver was talking about, I don't know, he's talking about something about kind of more white nationalist like news anchors and things like that. And they always talk about how their content is going straight to the Library of Congress, but the Library of Congress doesn't have their stuff, but does accept the John Oliver stuff. So that was the first time I'd ever found out about it. So it's literally just like a database that collects a lot of stuff that's kind of culturally significant, relevant, and that kind of thing. So that's why I'd never heard of it until that. And then that was really like a few weeks before we suddenly get an email saying we'd like to have stuff in the Library of Congress. And I was like,
I know it in the context of like if you're reading about like a classical movie or a classic movie from like the like On the Waterfront or something, you'll always see something on Wikipedia is like, oh, and in 1990 was inducted into the Library of Congress as being culturally or aesthetic relevant or whatever or significant. But yeah, that's all I'd heard about it. I didn't know putting YouTube channels in there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they obviously have digital database as well, which can be much more expensive. So yeah.
Yeah, like you're effectively down in the annals of history forevermore for just
it.
Sorry about
it's our legacy.
No, I love it. I love it so much. Obviously, you have a lot coming up, and I'm assuming you haven't really been able to perform at all this year. Like some bands were lucky to do live shows and stuff like that, but you were about to do something pretty cool and live, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think, well, we put out our album at the start of the year. We only did a live show out of that at the end of February, all the rest starting in the middle of March. And so we haven't seen each other, like, all five of us haven't been in the same room since February. So we've got a cobwebs to be dusting off, because then out of the blue, kind of, we not much forgot about it, but I just didn't think it was going to happen. Now we got asked to do other voices. And so now we have to get ready for that and practice the songs and lose some weight, and then we're good to go.
It was like, yeah, it was like we haven't played since February, and now we have to play live on TV. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes down. But
it'll be fine. Like we because even like one of the COVID covers as well, we're probably going to include that in, and we played that the other practice, like just went straight into it, and it was atrocious. And we're kind of debating, it's like, all right, do we include it? We don't. And that's what I kind of had to say to everybody. It's like, this was actually the first time we've ever done it, all of us in the same room together. So let's just keep working at it, and we'll probably be okay. And yeah, no, it's sounding good. So we probably will be including that. But yeah, that's bizarre. It's a song that was ours, and we have done a version of it, but we actually haven't done it together, which is kind of bizarre. So that was a weird approach to the song. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I guess it must be strange, because you're obviously still practicing your skill completely by doing these covers together, and you're still like embracing the band and what you are to each other and how you merge together, but you're doing it separately, and now all of a sudden you're back in the same room. It's kind of how I feel in social interactions now. I'm just not able for people.
Yeah, we even yeah, or you also just, it slips your mind as well. Like even there was a moment there where Manolis today just kind of picks up Kieran's bass just to play it for a second, and I'm looking going, don't think you should have done that. And he's, oh crap, and then we have to like wipe down the whole instrument and everything. Yeah, we just have to be as careful and as safe as possible, because even though, I don't know, like it's still out there, like, so we have to be as careful as we can, like, so there's all sorts of health and safety stuff now in the lead up to two other voices.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's such a different time. It's just, yeah, every day is like a level up that you weren't expecting. I don't know. How do you feel about it, Ronan? Like,
I mean, at the start it was strange, and then now it's still strange, but it's a different kind of strange, because it's almost normal now. This is the way things are. Like, even just us playing or being playing, it has that kind of dichotomy of kind of like, you know, you feel like you never left and you stopped doing this. At the same time, it's like, God, we haven't done this in nearly a year. It's just strange, but yeah, I don't know.
One that is actually just made me realize how cyclical life is. Like the fact that this year broke the cycle. And I go, oh yeah, shit, I do the same every year. It's like, come this month I do this, and come summer I do this, and come Christmas I do this. At the same time, there's kind of comfort in that annual routine. But I don't know. Yeah, it's at least with talks of vaccines on the horizon, it seems like we're slowly easing out of this. I think that's still got another year of it at least, but
yeah, hopefully by this time next year things will be look like they used to. But yeah, I guess just don't know, because when this started, we were all thinking, like, will this be over by Christmas next year? Like, what are we thinking? And then they were talking about vaccines being like 4 years down the line. So then you don't really know what life is going to be looking like, especially in the gigging scene and with there's a vaccine.
Yeah, it was weird at the beginning because I don't know, it was something that you heard in the news. You hear about this kind of stuff all the time, Ebola outbreaks and all this kind of stuff, but it only exists in the television because it's in another part of the world. Then same thing, you kind of started hearing about a coronavirus thing, and once again it was on the other side of the world, and China built that 1,000-bed hospital in like a week and all these kind of things, but it was on the other side of the world. Then you just slowly you just started hearing about coming into Europe, and then it was like and well, we just didn't know how to work with it at the beginning. I remember just our bass player Kieran going, it's like, I don't think we should be traveling, I don't think we should be doing any of these gigs. And I was just like, I don't know, it'd be that big of a deal. And that was like on March 13th was when we were supposed to be starting gigs. That's when lockdown happened, because we were kind of all kind of going, we were meant to be traveling the next day, and we're all in touch going, do we travel, do we not? And the next thing, Leo's on TV saying everything's shut down, and it was just like, it was like almost like I remember I was at parents' place, and I think I just turned on my phone, just YouTube, or watching the live stream of Leo's staying. But even, it felt very like a war film, like everybody just huddling around listening to the broadcast of the nation's leader just uses like, yeah, don't go outside or something like that. It was all very, very surreal and weird. But also, we just didn't know at the beginning. I mean, you didn't hear much about the virus. We heard there was a virus coming. I remember Tom Hanks was supposedly like one of the first people infected, and I remember Ronan kind of hear like his, Tom Hanks saying, it's like, oh, a bit of a sore throat and this and that. And Ronan, what's the big deal? I don't see. And all, like, even when we were saying, it's like, oh, we can't meet up. And even like Manolis was like, oh yeah, no, sure. When will we meet? In 2 weeks time? And we're just like, it's like, no, we actually don't know. And he's like, well, how we need? So a month? And it's like, no, we don't know. We just literally, everything has to stop. We have no idea. This is completely uncharted territory. So,
yeah, it was a bad year to put out an album, but aptly titled. We got it right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Breathing in the Strange.
Yeah, I mean, we should have been on that mask merchandise straight off the bat.
I know.
That's a really interesting thing that you said as well there, Shane. I'm going to ask that to Ronan, because I've never actually asked anyone where they were when the news hit or when the world changed forever. So Ronan, what's your memory of when that actually happened?
God, I don't even remember it. It's been so long. How long has it been? Yeah, it was weird because it was kind of coming in drips and drabs, and it just kind of just keep escalating, and then we were kind of waiting for it to arrive in the country, and it did, and there was like, oh, well, there's cases of it here, now it's finally here, and it started to spin. And then everyone was backing down, and it was just all happening extremely quickly, and no one really knew what they were dealing with. There were some people saying that it was nothing, it was just a cold or flu, and other people, obviously that it was much more than that. And but God, I don't know, it's all a blur.
Yeah, I remember, well, just because we, a lot of people did, we're doing a lot of like DIY stuff at home. And I can't remember when exactly this was I actually can't remember, but we were out, I was outside, and I was just painting like our picnic table, listening to the radio to Leo giving his next bit, because that's the way they kept, it's like, okay, we're going to install these restrictions for the next 2 weeks, for the next week. And then every time after 2 weeks were up, you were listening to the next bit. And I remember at one point he's like, okay, we'll extend these restrictions for another further 3 weeks. I remember at the time we both, like, me and Olivia were just like, oh my God, so long, like, but here we are, and 6 months past that broadcast, it just keeps going. But it's, obviously this lockdown is very different to the first one, but I guess just it was it was a lot of unknowns before. They still can't treat it the best they can, but there's no exact cure, there's no fucking vaccine yet. I don't know. Yeah, it's for gigs and festivals and all that kind of stuff. It sucks for those kind of organizers and promoters and all that really rely on that employment,
Yeah. And I suppose like now it is different as well, because there are like people have adapted to people who can have been being able to work around it. Whereas back when it first hit, nobody really, it was just like everyone just stay the head side until we, get a handle on this thing. Whereas now there are workarounds, and everyone's social distancing, wearing their masks, and I don't know, life goes on, but it's
yeah, like myself and Ronan, also have been quite lucky because both our employments are in the film and TV sector and the sector and that kind of thing. So that's been deemed essential services. So we've been working almost throughout, and all that kind of a thing. At least Ronan's been able to work or every now and again visit work, and I work from home a lot anyway. So even a couple of weeks were quiet, but then people were like even just filming their own footage and sending me music videos. So I did a music video with a band called The Winter Passing, and they just literally filmed themselves on their phones and just sent me on the footage. I'd edit that, and there was kind of a few projects like that. So but yeah, even as you were saying, Ronan, about the masks, then the interesting side of that is by this time any other year I probably have had a cold by now, but because we're not touching and holding fucking hands and like whatever, like just because we're washing our hands and using materials and wearing the masks and all the things, it's just like it, and not so much out in public. It's definitely, I think, has stopped spread of a lot of people kind of getting the cold and flu. I don't think I've heard of anyone's had it yet this year. And usually here we are, like mid-November, late November, somebody would have had a cold by now.
Yeah, I normally around this time would have had something like even a sniffle or a. Last year I had a chest infection, but yeah, there's something to this.
Yeah, no, I'd say the weather's on our side as well, though, guys, because we have been blessed with sunshine. Like it's a lot more clement than any other year. I'm finding that incredible.
Yeah, no. As soon as this all hit in March, the weather was amazing. Like, I mean, I'd feel very sorry for someone who actually lived in an apartment block and couldn't actually properly leave their home. But for most people who do a bit of a garden or a bit of a patio or something, fucking hell, the weather since was amazing. Like, yeah, it was really, it was like it was all planned. It was part of a picture.
Yeah, it's all to stay home and banana bread. That whenever banana bread.
Did you make banana bread? I had some banana bread.
I didn't make any banana bread. I went the savory option. I went started making stews. I got the girl out of retirement, making stews. But yeah, and then I just got sick of stew and.
Yeah, no, Olivia was making a lot of bananas and stuff like that. So, I think my only regret, actually, yeah. So what regrets? I think everybody had maybe to-do lists or shit to do over lockdown and may not have got around to it. So, regrets do you have, both of you?
Regrets do I have?
So, for example, I had a lot of painting and a lot of DIY stuff. Olivia was just like, you got to pace yourself. And you're gonna run out of things to do. So I got around to them. So here I am, like we're in this house 7 years. I still haven't painted the kitchen ceiling, and I should have done it over lockdown, but I just. So is there any regrets? People.
We're still in lockdown. As soon as we hang up this phone, you get in there and you paint the damn ceiling.
It's not an essential service, so I can't. I'm sorry.
Live stream it while you do it though, Shane.
Watching paint dry, yeah.
Such excite. I didn't really make any plan to do anything really during lockdown. I was happy that I got to play a lot of piano when we were making our demos. Like that was just something I hadn't done in a while. I remember even thinking, I was like, God, I haven't actually hit the piano in probably about a year. And then I had a reason to, so I'm happy about that. But I don't know if I have any regrets. I could have read, I suppose. I watched an awful lot of rubbish. I probably should have just got a few more good books. But yeah, other than that, I'm well spent.
And what about yourself, Rebecca?
Well, I've been living in my house 14 years. I bought it when I was 20, and I always said I'd do my garden up. So actually, something really strange happened, and I got agoraphobia for a few weeks. So I did my garden up, and then I always wanted my own music room. So I did my music room up during that 5 weeks of agoraphobia in between the interviews. I need to get rid of loads of clothes, okay? So that's my regret. I still haven't actually downsized my wardrobe, and I'm doing myself no favors with constantly buying captivity.
Yeah, but
you still clothes because you're still in the same house. You've been there for long. The only time I get rid of clothes is when I move house and I go, why am I bringing all the with me. I never fucking wear it and then I get rid of it. And I do a purge of it, all my that I don't use whenever I move house. So try that.
I'm pretty. So I got like a walk-in wardrobe, so I've just got a railing where I can just everything. So it's quite clearly I can kind of see is like, all right, cool. I haven't worn that in ages, and I like try it on and go, this doesn't even fit me. Like, why am I getting onto this? So yeah, I'll every now and again I'll go through and kind of just grab one thing and just kind of, all right, cool. That's a charity at some point, but yeah, no, I never did any. I'm just terrible for reading. I never actually do reading at all. I do a lot of films. Watch the Mighty Ducks trilogy. Yeah, a couple of things like that. Yeah, priorities.
Nice.
I started watching the Great British Bake Off, and I'm rewatching loads of like, what's the name of it? Vice have Munchies. I'm watching a lot of Munchies TV and just revisiting So do you know Vice, the TV channel? Like it's like.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, they have their own shows where they talk about food, and they have food critics of sorts that talk about Munchies. So like, like smoke after good food. It's good, but it's all like junk from like, it's amazing. You'd love it. Like, it's really interesting. I've been rewatching Anthony Bourdain because like I adore that man. So like,
yeah. Started watching Blinders. That's actually really.
Yeah, no, Peaky Blinders is good. Yeah. A slight name drop here. So I'm working on a short film at the moment. Rebecca, you actually reached out a while ago to try and do this interview, and I just told you I was like, at the moment I'm working on a short film. So we're in the post-production phases of it. Ronan's going to be working on it as well, doing the sound mix and design. But it's with this word artist from Limerick called Davis, or goes by the name Dirt. There's a lot of collaborations and stuff with Nap as well, so he'll be putting out an album with them and coming probably next year. But he like true other people also connected with the film have kind of gotten onto Cillian Murphy, and he is quite a fan of the piece that's spoken in our film, so that might be making an appearance, I think, on Cillian's radio show at some point on BBC Radio 6 or something like that. So I don't know, my little Blinders segue name drop, not ashamed. Meh.
No, self-plugging is really important. Like, I think it is great to be proud of the things you do, and you do so many really cool, interesting things. Like, one of my favorite things to talk about actually is that this is actually a picture. It is not made on a computer graphic. It is actually real flowers and material captured by yourself and made into a beautiful thing. That's amazing. I talk about that often when people are like, what should I put on the front of my album? I'm like, you could be cool like Foxjaw. You could try. We're just quite lucky that within the band we've got skill sets, from photo, video, audio, design, all that kind of stuff. We can kind of do a lot of that kind of stuff in-house. So I'm not even sure. We knew we wanted to do something with a kind of a vase of flowers, like a purple smoke bomb of some, and then we just took like loads of random photos, and then that segment of the photos that worked the best, and that's what we ended up going for the album cover.
We just wanted something with a lot of vibrant colors at it. I remember that.
Because just in the past, it's just kind of with every release we've been trying to do something that kind of, like, I guess thematically just works with the material, the band, the songs, and all that kind of stuff. So before the album, we had put out an EP a couple of years before that, and everything related to that was all black and white. So it was all like, it was called Black Light Vignette was the EP. So everything was kind of like just in a kind of mood as if it was on a night out. That kind of idea was just almost like segments of memories from out, hence vignettes and backlights. That kind of concept, and then all the artwork, all the promo photos, everything was all black and white. So then when we went coming out of that and making a new one, we wanted this definitely something bright, something white, something vibrant, and that kind of a thing. So and then the same thing with the other vinyl that you have there, that piano as well. None of that is really photoshopped much. That's well, the only shopped element is that we couldn't get all the smoke going at the same time. So that is actually several photos and then capturing the best moments from all different ones and putting it all. And like, obviously you can't see it there, but literally behind the piano, this is like 6 a.m. in the Burren. I identified a spot. Then the next morning we like left Limerick at like 4 or 5 a.m. Drove out on this is an old famine road. They called it a famine road. So it was these roads that just people who were like starving, they would just let these people make roads just so that they were doing some work, and then they would just pay them. So these roads lead to nowhere. This road doesn't go anywhere, and it's not really for cars either. But we drove our van there, load the piano out, built this whole thing, and then just took photos for a couple of hours. Right behind the piano is actually Kieran, and it was drizzling rain and it's freezing cold, and they had to just light these like smoke pellets, throw them into a pipe, and crouch down. Kept burning your fingers as well because you only
things just wouldn't light. You'd have to try and get it lit and then get the thing in, and then by the time you got it in, you realize the thing didn't light. So you'd have to f it out, and then like you just burn your hand trying to get the thing to work. Yeah, it was a stressful day, but we got the shot. It looks great.
Yeah, we're quite happy with that album cover as well. Like,
we built that Frankenstein, instrument thing.
Yeah, that piano. Well, and then one of our kind of on the tail end, like promoting that album, one of the music videos we set that piano on fire. So, but it kind of got Salvador completely went up in flames, and it's actually been redone, and it is used as a display kind of for kind of plates and wine glasses and stuff like that in Springfield Castle, and they've got a rest there, and then that's where the piano is the rest of its days at the moment.
And I love that coincidentally it's your first COVID cover, and it's my first album of yours that I owned, so that's cool.
Oh, cool, very good.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I didn't know the backstory to that, so that's amazing that you guys are impressive. You are lucky to have it all in house. Like, well, Luke had very little to do with it, but you're smart.
What we should have done actually with that album on the back had from the other side with me and Sims crouched down. It's a trick.
Yeah, we should have had you. Yeah, yeah, because you were also like really not dressed. You showed up in like shorts and a t-shirt, and it's freezing cold and drizzling. Yeah, would have been pretty hilarious. Yeah. Well, and even just as I do a lot of the bits and pieces myself, and usually a lot of interviews. It's usually myself and Ronan. When we were promoting that, I'm actually kind of getting towards the tail end of that kind of and stuff like that. There was an interview with Midlands radio station. I can't remember which. I usually listen in to the different show anyway, and I record that stuff, and I just kind of keep it for our records. But I didn't listen into that show, and Morgan was going to do that interview. And then I found out, because he didn't tell me straight, he texted Ronan about it, that Morgan called me a massive tool radio. Because the DJ asked the questions like, oh, your drummer does a lot of bits and pieces, and he does a lot of the videos and stuff. What Morgan tried to say was that Shane's a huge asset, but instead up and he goes, oh, Shane's a massive tool. And the DJ interrupted him. He's like, you can't say that on the radio. He's like, not what I meant. So it's a good thing Morgan doesn't do it anymore.
He meant you're instrumental, like a tool. Yeah, not.
Sure. Yeah. The drums are a massive tool, yeah.
It's hard to disagree with, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that you have a lot of skills that you bring to them.
And yeah. I'm sure some band members would call me a massive tool anyway, so.
Possibly.
They also need you to drive them around, Shane. Like.
I also
know
that as well, yeah.
Yeah, we used to share that. And then you've got your big super fancy van, and now you're happy to not let any of us.
It's just a big van. It's a long van. Like, I mean, it's I get this. I've seen near hits like it's just if you're not used to driving a van, it's the same license. You don't need anything specific, but at the same time, if you're not used to knowing that you've got a hell of a lot more of a vehicle behind you and you go to make a turn a bit too quick, you scratch the crap out of the side of it. So, but
it does.
Yeah.
No, you're reverse.
Yeah.
Those that is the loudest. I don't think I've heard any truck make that noise. I was like, there has to be a control in that. You always know Shane is coming because you the reverse, the beep beep beep.
I got that installed specifically so I wouldn't people. But
You haven't yet.
no, I haven't yet. No, yet is definitely the word.
That's
In
good.
there. One weird thing that's happening with my alarm though, that it's I don't know where it's installed exactly, but when it's raining a lot, it sounds like it's underwater. I don't know where this thing. I'm guessing it must have usually just an actual like a horn or something like that, and humidity is getting into it. But it sounds weird. Yeah, I don't know.
Probably just the sound of all the blood in just from the having burst your eardrums.
It's yeah. No, I've seen rubbish trucks like on our own, like turning the corner and not even out as theirs. I don't understand where mine came from. So yeah.
It likes to be known.
A lot of the time, unfortunately, the drummers do end up being the drivers and the van owners because, like, they kind of have the heaviest gear, so it's only fair, I guess.
Happens, yeah. I mean, well, my van is also I use it for everything. So I use it primarily all my stuff, and I use it for the band, and then I use it. I'll be working at festivals, and I'll be going to festivals, and I can sleep in it as well. So it's like it's tick boxes of everything I do. So, but who knows? Who knows when I'll be sleeping at a festival? So.
Jean-Claude Van Van. That's what it's called, isn't it?
That was the first van. The first van was called Jean Van. This is Barry Vanilo.
Vanilo, that was it. Yeah, we all had to take a vote on that.
It's a family decision.
Well, yeah. It looks like a bear. Well,
It's yeah. Sorry, Barry Vanilo's not black.
just like, who you
I think it of.
I only ever once
Never mind.
named a car. It was my Pajero Downey Jr. Have you ever owned the vehicle that you named yourself, Ronan?
I don't name my vehicles. I don't name any cars or anything like that. I don't see the point because I never end up using.
We did
It's
have
just-
names for the guitar.
Yeah, just like Morgan's, like Jaggy Collins. That was one. He's Jag.
Yeah, so basically when we're packing up the van, it's so just like the guys are pretty bad at this. So when we're packing the van, I kind of know which way exactly to be done. So I kind of pop into the van and be like all out things. I'm like, all right, give me this, give me that. So then the guitars names as well, because then all the cases would be tapes and things like that. So there was Jaggy Collins, Beyonce, Caitlyn Jenner, Jizz.
Yeah, Mike had a name though. We never called
Yeah, did we never give it a name?
Gretchen. Did we call it that at one point?
Yeah, we did call it Gretchen, I think. Yeah,
That's lazy though.
absolutely. It's not very creative at all. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Linda Martin, my acoustic.
Linda Martin, yeah.
Yeah.
Les Dennis.
That's
That's another one. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
I love this. I love how we went from having just a normal conversation to having an even more normal conversation. I have nothing else. What were
I
you
got
going
nothing
to-
else.
Sorry. I have nothing else to ask you question-wise, but is there anything you'd like to add to the interview before I actually stop recording?
I don't know. I think everybody should page out of your book, Rebecca, and as many local and independent artists as much as possible. Take it those Bandcamp Fridays and all that kind of a thing. You too could also be broke as Rebecca.
It's a great song.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I really wish everyone put their money where their heart was, to be honest, because the industry needs it right now.
Mhm.
It's gonna be. I mean, this year's be. We'll see what the next year will bring. but I think it's just going to be a lot of just adapting, because you just have, or maybe train. Maybe your future's in cyber. Who knows? I don't know who got that joke or didn't get that joke, but anyway, I think I'll point it out right now that it is.
Just in case the internet goes wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking about training to be a dancer. 35 isn't too late to retrain in life, you know.
Really not.
Guys, thank you so much for the interview. Anyone who's watching, this is a Foxjaw t-shirt and they are beautiful and have loads of merch. They also have a COVID one that they just brought out for the COVID covers. Incredible COVID album that comes along with it, and there will be vinyl as well. They have these, an incredible back catalogue of vinyl. Like, I remember the first night I saw them play, they just came with a stack upon stack upon stack of incredible, beautiful vinyl. And had I had the money back then to realise that I should be putting my money where my heart was, I would have bought the whole thing. So yeah, Foxjaw, you're incredible. Best of luck with Other Voices and everything else that you're obviously clearly going to keep smashing forever. And one day you'll never speak to me because you'll be so big. But
all good. Thank you so much. Thanks for having us. Thanks for all the support. And yeah, stay tuned. Yeah, that Other Voices stream will be around the start of December, so looking forward to it.